Let's do this thing. Let's go! Welcome back, folks, to another episode of You're Already Accepted, a community rewatch. Today, folks, we are going to be looking at Community Season 3. We're going to be looking at the Pillows and Blankets episode, and then also its precursor, Digital Exploration of Interior Design. I feel like we have some different views on these episodes. So I'm interested to see. Yeah. We're going to crack a can of
spicy takes.
Spicy takes.
It's bigger.
It's fatter. It's too much for the YA podcast to handle.
My back.
So who wants to get their first Vegetolite bite? I don't know. I'm trying to fix with the Subway theme.
I'll kick us off by just saying shout out to Cristobal in Chile. Appreciate your message to us over the interwebs, and
love you, man.
We at the end of the day, like, we do this podcast,
just for fun.
Just for fun. We we love this show and stuff like that. But it's also like, it's love. We love to build a community, and
that's the name of the show. You said the name of the show.
Stop.
But Cristobal, yeah, man, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for listening. If you want to tell us which one of us is your favorite, no, I'm just kidding. We don't want to know.
Put us against each other. Battle.
Picks apart psychologically.
But I would say with A+ stuff with Digital Exploration. I mean, really everything with Subway.
Rick.
It's just so great. Like, I think Rick Subway is like really a top tier side character of the show. I think they get the perfect actor for it. This guy was like, I don't actually know the guy's name. He also did a bite on Scrubs for a little bit. But I think that he just has the right perfect like corporate face. He's just young enough.
Right. He like the vaguely network television attractive kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, really everything with that. That's really my A+. That's that whole storyline.
That's awesome. Because there are a couple of storylines that go on. The Jeff Kim locker, it's serviceable.
Yeah,
it's fine. Jeff and Shirley and Pierce are still trying to take down Subway from Shirley's sandwich, which I kind of forget that's like almost like a running plot in the season.
It's kind of
Shirley and Pierce are like working together for it. And then this is in the introduction. Troy and Abed want to build their pillow fort, right? And then they realize that they can set a record by building it longer. So they try to, like, Troy wants to build blanket because it's easier to do square footage, and Abed's going for the quality. So a couple of pretty decent storylines in this episode.
And we got Vicene Langhorn. He's just going through stuff right now. So,
which I'm curious, what is he going through?
No, yeah, they never really like. You don't know if it's like a family thing,
right?
A business thing.
I did look it up. I mean, I don't know what he's going through, the character, but this was when John Goodman was filming Flight.
Oh, so he had long hair in Flight.
Yeah, so that's how they joked about him having a ponytail.
See, Denzel Washington was going through some stuff in that movie.
He was going through a lot.
Yeah.
What movie is this?
Flight.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I've seen part of it. I don't know if I've seen the whole thing. I also feel like I might be thinking of a different movie, because I feel like there was a lot of flying movies that came out around that time.
Yeah.
Sully, Flight. There's one that just came out like last year that was like similar. It was like about a guy that like landed a plane.
And then there's a movie just called like Plane.
Yeah.
With Gerard Butler.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah.
Get off the plane.
Cocaine man.
Yeah. What are you doing? No, but
what are you doing? He's Scottish, isn't he?
I'm trying to hear his voice again to get it. But
you just think of 300 and he's like barely trying to hide his his Scottish accent. In this episode, I thought they just gave Vicene Langhorn a ponytail like as a joke. I never connected that dot.
I didn't either. Yeah. I just saw it on IMDb. I thought that was interesting. I just thought they were just
in the end credits scene that his band is Kelvin and the Zeros.
Okay, I was wondering what it's, because I could like read like Kelvin, but then I was like, I knew it was going to be some sort of like.
Is that an AC joke, like temperature Kelvin?
I think so. Which I mean, like, man, if you could read absolute zero with an air conditioner, that's pretty crazy.
That'd be incredible.
What does he? Does he have a saxophone or a trumpet?
I didn't even pay attention.
I can't remember what he has.
I want to say it's a trumpet. I think.
Is it? Yeah.
So you go brand practice.
Yeah. But yeah, everything with that. No, I thought that was solid stuff. Just his meddling Troy Barnes, like
pretty diabolical, right? Playing both sides,
Uh-huh.
and it speaks to that. Like, are you going to be the quantity, or are you going to be the quality? Because you can't really have both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you can, but
Can you turn around while I crawl out?
I'm going
I'm going through some stuff, and then it turns around.
Also with that scene, I was like, are they gonna make John Goodman crawl out of this?
I thought they showed it.
I have a memory of them actually doing that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like kind of like the bokeh effect where you can't actually see the details, but you can
Mhm.
see them.
Yeah,
So that's
it would have been funny if they would have done that, like showed him crawling out, and like he'd added like a tattoo on his neck or something. Like he'd added something else to his ponytail and
kind of like Starburns and the top hat.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is random. This isn't really part of the episode, but it's part of the making of the episode. There were a lot of the shot reverse shot in this episode. You know what I'm talking about? Like where it shows one person's face, and it shows the back of the other person's, and it flips. There were a lot of those. And I only point that out because there's that line that the dean or the vice dean has about like, that doesn't really sound like a friendship to me, more just like a guy and his lapdog, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you see the back of John Goodman's head as he's saying that, like his mouth doesn't move, or like his cheek, I guess his jowls, I guess, like they don't move like it's making that
Like he's
line.
actually talking.
Exactly, right?
Interesting.
So it's kind of like I've never paid attention to that, but once I saw it, I was like, man, they do this a lot in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess it does kind of create that tension of both sides of like, because are you on the back of Vice and Langhorn's side, or are you on Troy's side?
exactly,
Yeah, I like that.
Ethan, or did you have more A plus, Jonathan?
No, I mean y'all go for it.
I had a couple A pluses. I love Pierce's corporate espionage,
Mhm.
and like he's really good at it, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good talent he has. I mean,
I almost put him for leading the class.
almost did too, because it's just diabolical enough that you can tell that that makes sense for Pierce, but it's not like he's going over the top and like being super sketchy. I mean, it could be worse. He just has a lipstick that has a microphone in it.
Right.
Like, that's
Mhm.
pretty,
But whenever Pierce comes across
Put
as
some color on those
competent,
lips.
like it's almost a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like this is something he's good at. It's a questionable talent, but it's a talent nonetheless. So I appreciated that. I mean, I kind of like I agree. I think the Subway character is kind of a fun side character. I wish that he came back a little more,
Mhm.
but I think it's funny
Honda.
that he only comes back. Yeah, Honda.
Yeah.
He only comes back in another episode after this, and he's a different brand. But I do like the Berta, and Shirley and Pierce plot as well. Even though like the sandwich shop thing, I don't know. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I guess they kind of have hinted at the sandwich shop stuff before, and they do get into it later.
Right.
But it just kind of feels weird in this episode because like there's so much other stuff that's more memorable.
Right.
And rewatching this, I forgot that this was even a
Like it's the catalyst for like one of the biggest storylines in the
Mhm.
show, because this is kind of where the Pillow Fort and then the Chain Glorious Bastards come in.
yeah
Like, and it's all because of Subway,
Yeah.
essentially. Right.
yeah basically. So I mean it's a good plot, and honestly, like I said, I kind of forgot about it until watching this,
Mhm.
and it was enjoyable. I mean, I like the Pillow plot a lot more, but that honestly was for a side plot. They could have almost done that as its own thing, you know.
For sure.
Right.
I also love like there's a conversation between Jeff and Annie where I think it's whenever they go to his locker and he like finds a like Save Garrett pamphlet in his locker, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with Garrett?" And Annie goes, "Nothing. We saved him." And then it cuts to Garrett like struggling with the water fountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that saved him. And then later, because Kim's like, or they say, "Oh, we saved Garrett." Did we? Little Garrett.
There's a rally outside for Garrett. But we
There's something
saved-
coming in the study room. I would elaborate, but I walked over here very briskly and I'm out of breath.
Yeah. That reminds me, like, his voice is just. I mean, I guess we've all seen the entire series, but like, I think it's like, well, it's the episode where Garrett marries his cousin.
Yeah.
And they're
And
like,
his bones.
Aubrey Plaza, do you take Garrett to be your husband? And she's like, I do.
This is like, yeah, kind of when Aubrey Plaza was accelerating into the stardom.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
It's 2013, 2014.
yeah, because what that would have been, I guess near the end of Parks and Rec, but
Yeah.
like she's already in Parks and Rec. She was in movies by that point. Like, I'm about to say good sting. It was good.
Isn't that crazy that The Office has ended 10 years ago? It ended in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Parks and Rec ended in 2015. And people still kind of like bank on them as their favorite shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
pretty
what-
easily too.
In 10 years from now, like, what are going to be those shows? You know, it's still going to be it's probably not still going to be The Office, surely.
Depends
I
on
don't
what
know.
comes out.
The
yeah.
Frasier reboot, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I've kind of come to terms with the fact that the Frasier reboot is probably not going to be that great.
Are they still working on it? I haven't
I
heard
think
of
so.
I think it's coming out this year,
Ugh.
but I know they've said that
None of the
none of the characters are
Yes.
coming back. Basically, besides Frasier.
Oh,
So that's. I mean, what's the point?
right.
well, it's gonna be like Frasier, or it's like
it's gonna be he's gonna have a podcast. Like I can already predict.
Oh, yeah,
He's
definitely.
gonna run a podcast,
Yep.
right?
and then like Frederick's gonna hang out, or like actually it's not gonna be the same actor. It's gonna be new Frederick.
It could be the same actor.
Could be,
It could be.
but
Yeah.
no, it's just gonna be disappointing.
Yeah.
and we're not. And
I'm still gonna
it's not
watch
part
it.
of our Frasier podcast.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right.
Say
So
that right now.
Just do what I did with the Disney Star Wars movies. Just don't acknowledge it as canon
Mhm.
and move on. Right.
The other night I was at a trivia thing and like, it was like a little teddy bear thing of Rey. I'm like, what character is this? And I was like, well, I'll just tell my wife, like, put down Star Wars 7. Don't even say that. Don't say its name.
If you say its name, it comes back.
Yeah.
It's someone's
Right.
the dignity of having a name.
Yeah,
Do you still have that video on your phone of Caleb at Life Impact?
absolutely.
Oh, riffing on just the bad writing.
I would say. Let's see. I would say.
Did you have any other A plus?
No, that's all I had. Did you have
Yeah.
any A plus?
I did. So the whole plot with Kim and the locker it felt kind of half-hearted. Like
Mhm.
it didn't feel like it reached its full potential. But I do love the whole idea of like, oh, suddenly there are just lockers at Greendale, because I really don't feel like we've seen
Yeah.
that, or we just
Mhm.
haven't paid attention. But Jeff's like, oh, like how long? Since when have we had lockers? And she's like, the registration day of 2009. Did you not attend the pre-orientation freshman welcome seminar and diversity fire circle? This explains so much about you. And literally yesterday for my job, we were talking about freshman orientation and just how like camp counselor it all feels
Yeah.
to like, we're going to have a welcome seminar and a diversity fire circle.
Mhm.
And we're going to have hacky sack in the quad, which I feel like is a very dated reference. I don't feel like I've ever seen people do hacky sack in the quad.
Yeah.
But,
Hacky sack by the tower.
By the tower,
yeah, By
right.
Bell Tower. Right.
But just the fact that they acknowledge that, like, yeah, this is a community college, or
Thank God we didn't go to a hacky sack campus. I'm just gonna say that now.
right.
Yeah.
That the fact that our college campus wanted to be really progressive, but was actually not.
Yeah.
It was in Northwest Missouri. Or allegedly,
We didn't have hacky sack, but we had 9 square.
Yeah, we had
Ah.
that's it.
I wonder how many people met their significant others at 9 Square. Were there very many? I feel like most people were already engaged by the time that we.
As I say, I don't know anybody that met a significant other at 9 square specifically,
Right.
but it definitely like further pushed them together. Maybe.
Right.
Mhm.
Because they were
Yeah.
in like square, concentric squares, if that was the word. I do remember at volleyball, that was when that one person who was, I'm not going to say the word obsessed with me, but you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
That's when that person like made that connection with me. Like, do you know that there are like those like defining moments in your relationship with somebody? You're like, this is
Mhm.
when we like became aware that the other person existed.
Yeah.
Volleyball was that time. And I remember at that day, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen, is they're going to think that this is what I'm trying to do, but it's not at all. But that's what they thought happens.
I hope this doesn't awaken anything.
Which in this episode, is it this episode where he wants Troy to join, where Vice Laybourne wants Troy to?
I mean, yeah,
No,
that's what this starts.
that's
that-
later on. But I'm thinking of the scene where Vice Laybourne like crushes the Dalmatian toy, which is
Oh no, that's in the.
it's coming up.
Yeah.
But another one of the A plus scenes, the single funniest joke in this episode to me was when Pierce has the pen. He's like, it's a pen. It also has a spy camera in it, and it also holds a mini flask. And he drinks it. And then there's another reverse shot of Britta. Whenever you come back to Pierce, his mouth is blue of
Mhm.
ink. And she's like, did you just drink ink? And I'm like, man, that had to. I mean, obviously Chevy Chase didn't drink that. But have you ever had like a pen break in your mouth? Or like, have you ever just had ink in your mouth?
I've had a pen break in my hands, and it's just my hands are suddenly filled with ink.
Right? Like, I don't even know how this has happened, but like ink does not taste good. And like I can imagine what that would taste like if you were to drink an entire pen of it.
Yeah.
oh,
And how would you get that off your teeth?
I don't. Yeah,
It would stain it for a long time. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I feel like at New York one time there's somebody who like was chewing on a pen and broke it in their mouth.
I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah. Legend has it of a man who broke a pen in his mouth. But, and then one of the last lines that I really liked too was Jeff is laying on the campus furniture and he gets up and starts talking to Annie. And he's like, Leonard, where are you going with all those cushions? I was wanting to lay on that. And Leonard's like, well, I was going to invest in IBM in 1952, but life's full of disappointments. And
true.
yeah, we love Leonard.
Also, Leonard would have been what? Okay, I mean, it's 2012, so 1952 was like 70 years ago or 60 years ago.
Like Korea? Oh, 1952.
I mean, is Leonard in his 80s? I guess.
I guess. Yeah. He
Geez.
fought in Korea.
For the
On the
North Koreans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah,
Didn't he say he was in the Little Rascals?
I think so.
I think so.
Or that was like a fact that he says he was in the Little Rascals or something like that.
Yeah, because I thought he was, but
He wasn't actually,
he
but
wasn't actually.
yeah.
But the whole thing of Subway and the corpo humanoidization, that doesn't feel very far off in the future.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like I can definitely see that happening. And he has that conversation with Britta in the library. It was like 3 more years of this, and I can live my dream.
yeah.
And like you almost you feel for him because you're like, I mean, for 3 years, could I sell my soul to a corporation, or like would I think worse of myself?
Well, it's also like an interesting job where it's like, okay, so you're going to be a student on this campus that has a Subway to promote Subway. But like you still go to class, you can still kind of have a social life.
Right?
You can't have any sort of relationships.
Yeah.
But like,
But you can have a heart.
yeah, you can have a heart.
As long as it's missionary eye contact, it's legal.
So it's like, I mean, depending on how well it paid, I think people would 1,000%.
I mean, I don't think we're far off. I think the age of influencers that we're in is kind of on the verge of that
Yeah.
without the naming. But like, I mean,
think
really, it's probably not that different in terms of like, you're talking about like the lifestyles. You're basically living for this company
Right.
and work. I mean, you're an employee, yes, but you're not just like going an 8 to 5 job and then like you're representing them. You're a brand representative. Yeah. For them. I mean, I feel like we're probably not that far off from people actually like changing their name.
Only
Agreed.
4 more years until Lily from AT&T is a real thing.
Yeah.
Which, have you heard all that? Like the whole drama, like Lily from AT&T, the actress who plays Lily, and like people were like simping over her on the internet, and like
I've heard about that.
Right.
But like, my response to that is like, well, you are on TV,
right,
and like you are on national commercials, so it's like, and like, so like, not that I
condone
like
that
condone like any sort of like you know,
hypersexualization or
but also like, okay, like
what else were you expecting?
like, are you trying to control like millions of American men and some women,
Right.
like in their like lust after you? Like, it's such a weird.
Right.
I think it's, I don't know everything that's gone on with it, but from what I know of it, I think it's a little like almost like out openly people like making comments about her,
Right.
like on like Instagram and stuff.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's like, I think, I mean,
It's just gross.
if
In
I was her,
general.
I'd probably feel the same way. Like, I don't know. I mean,
Right.
the objectification of your body and they're just like making crude comments. Like
Right.
if they did that in real life, that's harassment. Like it's the same thing
course.
online too.
For
So
sure.
It's just so weird, like having grown up in a spiritual household, and you're like, just like if you have those thoughts, like don't act on them, and they
Mhm.
will not get worse. And like that's not the culture that we live in.
No.
We live in a society. We live in one, but it's just kind of sad.
I guess
you
I
know?
didn't know if anything got back to her. Okay, if that changes things. If like it's like actually expecting like her life experience, then like okay, for sure.
Which I just think those commercials are annoying in general. But
Yeah,
good for
the
her
commercials.
for making bank, right?
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for her for that. But that's a good point though, Ethan, about like YouTubers and like, hey, this video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Which also HelloFresh, if you want to sponsor our podcast,
Gladly.
I will eat HelloFresh breakfast, lunch, and dinner for an entire week, for an entire year. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Sponsor us. We already talked in a previous conversation about how I don't eat that well anyway, so it might be better for me. But
True.
if there is a corporation that you would be willing to change your name for, what corporation would that be?
I
Would
go
you-
back and forth on this.
Would you be willing to become a corporeal humanoid?
honestly, like depending on the corporation and like and the perks, I would do it.
Mhm.
Like, and I hate to beat a dead horse here. We reference Raising Cane's a lot, but like if I change my name to Kane, which for one is kind of a cool name anyways.
If you name your kid Kane,
Yeah. And like they gave me like free Raising Cane's or like I'm fine with that.
I was thinking Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I just can't eat on Sundays, but
Yeah, right?
I'll figure it out.
You fast on Sundays.
Yeah.
See, as we like kind of talked about that, I don't know if I'm definitely not somebody who's like anti-capitalism. I don't think that I'm entirely for it, but I'm definitely not like an like socio-anarchist or whatever.
Mhm.
But the way that they phrase it is intentionally like, Orwellian. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
I gave up my birthright, my birth name, and my entire personality is this corporation. So like, I mean, I do a lot of that for my job. Like I'm representing a business or, a school, but to never be able to turn that off or to never be able to like make that decision. Like, I don't know if I believe in this anymore. Like you have to, So I don't know if there is a corporation. I mean, I would definitely name my child Kane or give him the middle name of Kane.
That's a cool
Like,
I
name.
might do it anyways.
Right? I'm gonna do it anyway. Or the people who name their kid Google and they got a free whatever. But like,
Mm.
I think it's like Nepal or
Yeah, I've heard of
India,
that.
Like they name their kid Google, but I don't know if there's a corporation I would do that for. If I knew that it was for a set amount of time, that I'm doing this, I'm a mascot essentially for 5 years, then I think that'd be different. But something tells me that the way that the showrunners want this to sound is like they keep moving the goalposts. Like, please, I just want to see my family again. Well, just do this one more thing for me. You can see him again. So
Yeah, it's like a guy who's like mobbed up. Like,
Right.
Yeah, you do this one more job.
it's like the first Red Dead Redemption game.
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Marston, you just got to get one more person for me. You just got to get Dutch Vanderlyn for me. Which, if we had
You said I was out last time. I know. Well, now you're back in.
just one more score.
There's always one more score.
There's always one more. That's how Mafia works.
I got a good lead this time, man.
For leading the class, I think we're all in agreement here. But I'm sure we can all express our reasoning differently for this. So on the count of three, right? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, go. Or is it 1, 2, 3 team? But we're all just going to all say who our leading the class is.
4.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Britta.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, obviously, I love. So that's sweet. Also, like, it's like forbidden love, which is like kind of the most exciting kind.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I want you and you want me. And it's like, honestly, it totally makes sense why Britta would fall in love with him because, like, Britta wants what you can't have. Like,
Exactly.
We learned that throughout the
She has
series.
such a little amount of respect for herself.
Yeah. So the idea of like, and like in this situation, it's perfect because like she feels like she's trying to free him. So it's
Mhm.
like it's
And then she knows like underneath all of it, he actually like has a heart, like he actually cares.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so I just think like everything with that, and like I don't know, she kind of gets her heart broken. Like, kinda feel
Yeah.
bad for
You
her.
feel for her.
That's me.
I ship it. I ship her and Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Subway, whatever.
Right.
Sorry, his name was Subway. One thing I just thought of this, only because we're also going to talk about this in the next episode with the one where she and Blade. I feel like
Gosh.
they make a whole point of saying that Britta goes after guys that are trashy and like mean, right? Kind of
Mhm.
like jerks. But that's not Subway.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
Right?
I don't know, a
It's
little
more of an
inconsistent.
ideological trashiness.
Yeah,
in her
but I mean, they're a
eyes.
little inconsistent. Like they almost make it sound like, oh, Britta only goes for guys that are rude and trashy. But then she also falls in love with Subway and
Troy.
and Troy and Vaughn.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Vaughn's kind of trashy, but like, he's not like rude. So like, I don't know. But either way, I mean, it's just minor thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bad for Britta too, because like they really have. Like, I think it could work
I feel
if
like
he wasn't a pawn for Subway.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have added in just like a 30-second scene where like they bump into each other in the parking lot and they like, they do they play up the whole like, kissing in the rain and
Mm-hmm.
and like Britta's like, okay, well that's all I needed. See it like because once she realizes that he's not Subway and he's not like forbidden, like she kind of loses interest in him.
Yeah.
And that would definitely play into the Blade episode for sure. I'm just gonna say Britta didn't do anything wrong. She's following her heart. She didn't want to get she got pressured into espionage
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like insulted, right? They
Yeah.
called her a whore, like, which I don't know, but
Pierce Fair, no
Sorry.
opportunity to call her a whore.
sorry, horsewomanship.
Yeah, horsewomanship. Sorry, this isn't the 90s anymore.
So Britta leads the class.
We love Britta. This is.
In this episode, I love Britta.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. She's probably one of my favorites, and I feel like they do her dirty in this show. So
Yeah.
nice to see her kind of get a win.
What could have been.
Extra credit. Anything you noticed, Christian?
It's not really a trivia bit. It's just kind of one of those like, oh, I like to have conversations about things that are like vaguely related to the show, but I can just talk about it anyway. So the whole thing of Jeff having to apologize to Kim was that he didn't know what he did wrong, and like this girl Kim is supposedly dead, so he's like, oh well, she's forever. She forever sees me as that, and so Annie wants him to apologize, but she really wants him to apologize to her. And I feel like this is an example of like if in real life, if you were friends with your crush in high school,
Mm.
were you ever
I've been friends with my crush multiple times.
Ah.
That's how you just
and
start
now you're
out.
friends with the love of your life and you guys get to be together forever,
Yeah.
right? Ethan, were you ever friends with like a crush that you had?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, was there ever a time, there's no hesitation, I love that. actually really sad. Was there ever a time where, like, maybe, you know, your crush was talking about like this guy, you know, and you're like, man, just maybe the person you're supposed to be with is in front of you this whole time, or like, man, yeah, he really sucks. He's not consistent. He doesn't care about you. Right?
Yep. Yeah, because you got to be like, because they're like, I don't know, me and Jeremy have something, and you got to be like, well, I don't know. Like,
I wouldn't say that.
Just play devil's advocate here for a
Yeah.
second.
just hear from the side, you know.
They have to count. You know, it's like if you're in that mindset, they have to come to that decision on their own.
Mhm.
But like, you can coax them in the direction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. and so, you know, Annie's played out to be the bad guy here. Like, what the hell is this? You're supposed to apologize to a dead girl's locker, not, you know, this weird stalker crap.
Mhm.
You know, and so
This weird cloyish or
put it in the letter, Jane Austen.
Yeah.
But
Hey, that's me.
but yeah, so it's I can appreciate that plot because it's like kind of resonates in like a real life scenario,
Mhm.
and also the fact that Jeff doesn't really want to apologize at first. He just wants people to see him as not a dick. Like there's a whole mentality of that as well. Of like, oh, what can I say for you to change your mind about me, even though you're not really, you know, serious about it. But did you guys notice who the manager for Subway was, or like the corporate head for Subway was?
So I see your note here. I didn't realize that was him. I was like, I know I've seen this guy before.
Yeah.
He was also in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is I think what I was thinking.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, Larry Culpepper, the Dr. Pepper guy.
Right. I put that note in for
Nice.
Ethan's trivia because
I dressed up as him for Halloween one
Yeah.
year. So that's why I
Nice.
put that
Oh
in there.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot. Like, I didn't even catch that.
yeah. I at first I was the same way. I was like, man, this is one of those like those characters who appears on like every NBC show.
Yeah.
Kind of like Blade. You know, in the next episode.
Sewage Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Larry Culpepper. For Marked in Red, or in conclusion, I give it a 7 out of 10. I hate Jeff's plot. I just think it just kind of feels like a waste of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, the pillow blanket plot is fun. I feel like we haven't even talked about the pillow blanket plot.
Not really
Mhm.
because
There's not much of it in this episode.
Right. It feels more like it's setting up the next.
It is.
the next episode.
But it's still a fun plot.
Yeah.
Interesting to see, you know, the kind of beginning of like a little rift between Troy and Abed.
Yep.
Obviously, that blows up in the next one.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I mean, I love the Britta Subway plot. I think it's actually probably one of her better like plots where she gets to kind of like,
Gets to shine.
and like it's not like she's being,
Me so Mary.
yeah, she's not being cringy, and she's not even like being, I think, like doing Britta like things where like she has the right intention but does it the wrong way.
Mhm.
Like I think she actually, yeah, I agree. I don't think she did anything wrong. I think she is fine. Like I think has every right to like fall in love with him.
Mhm.
I mean, that's her choice, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like it's one of those where like she's pretty like almost like the straight man, not the straight man, but
Right. Like
She's not
everybody
really-
is pressuring her into something.
yeah,
And she's reacting like in a genuine way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's being the most real probably that we've seen her.
In a ridiculous situation.
Right, it's ridiculous,
Same with
but
shop espionage. Right?
yeah, right. So
It's probably they should have named this episode that instead.
what was
Same
what
with
would
shop espionage?
I was gonna say? I don't really think the title like digital exploration of interior design. What's the digital exploration?
Yeah. Okay. Because
Interior design would be the force.
Right. What's the digital exploration?
The camera, the spy stuff. Maybe not really.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe, but that's not a great.
But it's like
because the next episode has nothing to do with class. Like a lot of the episodes are named after a
Right.
theoretical class, but so you didn't have to stick with that.
but this one would have been like interior design and culinary arts or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, something
Or
like that.
honestly, that's espionage and yeah.
Sandwich shop.
Yeah. I don't know.
So you're giving it what
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
It's. I mean, I didn't laugh that much,
Yeah.
but there's good like dialogue. I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
There are a lot of good moments that like you don't ever think about it in the show. You're like, oh, that's a clever.
As much as I
clever
hate
writing.
the Jeff plot, I think there was some good dialogue in it. Like the
Right.
writing
Mhm.
was good
Yeah.
for Annie and him. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's leading up to the next one, which is a good episode. So
Yeah.
I'll give it. I think I'm gonna give this one an 8 out of 10. I originally had 8.5, but then kind of your reasons brought me down a little bit. I didn't really end up laughing that much. I do love Subway, so that's gonna really bump it up.
The character or the restaurant.
Yes.
Definitely the character. No, goodness. If I want a sandwich, I'll just ask mother.
My wife.
Yeah.
Am I right, gentlemen?
No, but yeah, I'd say 8 out of 10. Really, like, again, I've talked about plenty of times my frustration with just this Annie and Jeff thing, and like
Mhm.
how I think just go for it, like you're on Greendale
Right.
Bros, who cares, like, and like all that. So I get really annoyed with like their unspoken back and forth by at this point in the series. But yeah, so I'd say 8 out of 10, solid episode. Did enjoy it.
Okay. I think I need to ask for my rating. What's the ultimate sandwich shop?
Oh, I knew you were going to do this.
Okay. Dang it.
What?
You knew I was going to do this.
I knew you, but I don't have an answer. I mean, I have a preference on sandwich shops, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so I need my rating to be resonant with you guys.
So my tops would be Firehouse Subs.
Firehouse
That's my
Subs.
favorite.
I don't think I've ever. Is it more reminiscent of a Subway where you get to pick your toppings, or is it more like a Jimmy John's?
It's
where
more like a Jimmy John's where it's pretty preset.
pretty preset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's better
Gotcha.
in my mind.
What about you, Jonathan?
I like
You have
Jimmy John's,
A
but
favorite sandwich shop?
Really, if you want like the fast casual, just say Chipotle. It's like a Subway out of like a
for sandwich?
well,
like
since it's like a
burritos.
fast casual.
Oh,
place,
right.
so,
Yeah.
like,
I got you.
Kind of
Okay.
like that's like if I were you, my rating would be a Subway out of Chipotle
Okay. I get that.
for like good, but not obviously.
I mean, yeah, that's what my rating is going to be. Is going to be Subway out of like what's the best sandwich shop,
Mhm.
because it's serviceable. Like, I mean, if somebody were to buy me a Subway sandwich, like I'd do it. I actually had Subway for lunch today, so I shouldn't dog out. Like,
This episode made me really hungry.
Yeah.
I'm going to try a spicy Italian 6-inch sub with seasoned kettle salt and pepper chips and a drink for $5.99, which is definitely not at all what the price would be. But like it's it's not the best in the world, but it does the job. And now this is what's interesting for me is that for Pillows and Blankets, I think we have some different views on this because it's an anthology episode, right? It's not in the similar style of like, the Dan Harmon, the group is in the study room. They have a, the dean comes in, they have a plot, and then things resolve. It's more in the style of a Ken Burns documentary. And it's detailing, the war between, what is it? Blanketsburg and Pillowtown,
Yeah.
right?
Well, first it's
New Fluffy Town.
yeah, but
Right.
then he changes it for the
what
sake
is
of symmetrical, conceptual symmetry. Yeah.
Which I love. Do you mind if I go into my A+ first for this?
Go for it.
So, I don't know if this is a secret on the podcast. I was a history major. I studied history. So,
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right? You can't prove that. But I've always liked war documentaries. Really any war. I don't even know necessarily what it is about it that I enjoy, but I like how, if you watch a Ken Burns or a even like a History Channel or, documentary, a lot of the materials are kind of used in this. So like the photos of all the characters, like they're set up to be like a Civil War portrait.
Mhm.
Jeff has his hand in his shirt like Napoleon, which isn't Civil War, but or Annie's kind of set like Clara Barton from the Civil War.
Yeah.
Abed has his pillow garb on. I love that the primary source documents are all listed, like 4-part text message from Troy Barnes,
Yeah.
or student cell phone footage, and so it's
Facebook
kind of-
post. Abed Nadir. Yeah.
and then Leonard likes this post.
Yeah.
I really like I like everything about this episode. Honestly, I love it. Every time it comes on, I just like to watch it. The fact that they mapped out Greendale as a campus,
That was cool.
it was really cool.
That.
North Hall, which is named for Mr. William North.
North.
Not to be confused with the North Building, which is named because it's north of the South Wall.
South Wall, right? Which is no less confusing than English Memorial Spanish Center, which is named after English Memorial, a Portuguese sailor who looked for a cure for syphilis.
Which trivia, I'll say it now. English Memorial is actually a picture of Dan Harmon.
Is it?
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
Oh.
Which have you guys watched What We Do in the Shadows yet?
I've watched
yeah.
part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah.
I made a couple references to it, but like that style of humor is really popular, especially the first like 2 seasons of that show, where they'll be talking about something and then they'll cut away to like a pretty photoshopped photo, but like of like, the Salem witch trials and the vampires are there like throwing up a peace sign or something like that. So I like that they've kind of like for this show, they've created false history that's real in the universe of the show. But in general, I've really wanted there to be some universes, like cinematic universes, where there's a more gritty like war biopic.
Mhm.
And I think like for Star Wars, like Rogue One is kind of that. And Solo, there's like that one scene where he's in the Imperial Air Force, whatever. He's like in a battle scene. For years, I've wanted there to be a mockumentary miniseries of like rebel soldiers, and I just want it to be like full like guys get their legs blown off like in the trenches. Like I want it to be like a real like war series. Like I want to see that. And so like the fact that Community and something as silly as like a pillow fight, like they can do that for this episode is super cool. One of the things I think this episode did right was having Keith Davids as the narrator. First of all, having him as the narrator is the perfect voice, but also the fact that like narration kind of helps it serves the plot a little bit better. I don't know if you guys watched Cinema Sins on YouTube, like Everything Wrong with This Movie.
Occasionally.
Yeah. And one of the like the sins that they always do is like narration, like as a weak it's a weak way to kind of get your story, your plot along and your exposition. I feel like for this episode, it almost it adds to some of the humor, like the redundancy of it. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I think this episode actually works well because there's not a lot of dialogue. Like it's a lot of the narration and the acting itself,
and the photos and the the
it's not relying on the good scripting and screenwriting. It's mostly like there's not a lot of jokes like said by the characters. It's a lot of Keith David and the acting or what we're seeing. So I agree with that too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And just some of the like the one-liners that he has, or like how Jeff is just trying to delay class, and his critics blamed him for hot button patriotic dogma and a Ferris Buellerian attempt to delay school.
The Chang-Glorious Bastards, which is supposed to be a reference to the Inglorious Bastards, but with Chang instead of it. I don't get it either.
Hey, were you in the cave? No, but he was.
He was in the cave, Keith
he
David.
was, yeah.
And he's also Eloy Podashnik.
Of course, that's the real one.
Was he actually a narrator for the Civil War documentary, though? Did I hear that he was actually like he has narrated a documentary before?
I'm sure he has a bunch.
I think he did a couple, like a few seasons back. I think he did a Hard Knocks as well. Like,
interesting.
He's like, I mean, obviously he has a perfect voice for narration. So
he was the narrator of the war.
Of the war, yeah.
Which was the World War II one. Yeah.
Which is what.
And then a Muhammad Ali documentary, apparently, which was last year. So
Keith David, it's just chef kiss.
Yeah.
It's also, oh my goodness, why am I blanking on his name? Gus's dad on Psych.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, he's one of Psych but Gus has two different actors that play the dad for some reason. But I know Keith David is like the second one.
Nice.
I don't know why they switched, but anyways, continue.
The fact that they had Skeet Shoot Sing and there's a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Both sides wanted to watch it. Like that honestly sounds like a game show that would be on Fox.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably not NBC, but
well, what you would do is just get like, this former college volleyball player and this ex NFL player going against each other and Skeet Shoot Sing. It's like
it seems like a 30 Rock bit.
Yeah. Like,
hosted by Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Right, Terry,
hosted by Terry Crews pecs muscles. Like,
and it gets renewed for like a third season somehow.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other A+ stuff you want to mention?
There's where do I start? But no, I think one question I want to ask you guys was like, whose side are you on in this episode? Like, do you have a side, or is it more one of those of like both sides are so annoying that I don't care and I just want the episode to end?
If I would be on the side of Jeff, honestly. So I would just kind of be trying to make the war as long as possible because I hate school. However, if I really had to pick between the two sides, I would probably pick a Pillow side just because it seems more comfortable. Like the whole structure is pillows. It's
warm and cozy.
Pillows.
Yeah.
And like it was something I was thinking about beforehand when I was like, the weapon that Blanketsburg uses is a pillow.
You're right.
And Peloton obviously, and so it's like
don't really have a hill to stand on there.
Yeah, I mean a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines in this was I don't remember completely what Troy says, but he's like, it's like the Winston Churchill style, like
also my laptop is doing the same.
citizens of Blanketsburg.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What do you guys got?
I think one of if I was in the episode, I would have dispersed the war. Because what it boils down to is that Abed and Troy are really fighting about their friendship, but they incorporate the entire campus for this. So what I would have done is I would have been like, okay, Pillowtown people, whenever you go to bed at night, like what do you use to keep yourselves warm? you use blankets,
Mhm.
right? And then, Blanketsburg people, whenever you're laying down on the ground, how do you keep your head from hitting the hard, the cold floor? You have to have a pillow, right? So really this fighting is trivial and we need to disperse, right?
You should be like a little like kind of like Southern lawyer, but like Southern high class. I'm like, not like, hey, what are we doing here? But like, hey y'all, what are we doing here? You need a pillow and you need a blanket to go
Right.
to sleep.
And then you have,
Babies need both. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you could have even made a joke about like, what happens if you have a Snuggie or a pillow pet? Like, where do you fall into those? Because those would have been like right around that time of like
Yeah.
2012. But I think if I had to pick a side, I feel more inclined to agree with Abed because I understand Troy's dilemma of like, hey, this would be cool if we had this world record, like we'd be on the map, like the longest pillow or a blanket fort. But Abed's right. He's like, we were going to build a pillow fort, so I'm going to build one. So like, especially because the Blanketsburg people attack first. So that's kind of, that's Pearl Harbor kind of stuff right there.
I thought Pillowtown attacked first.
Nope. It's built because I watched it in Blanketsburg because
Because
okay. So
Starburns throws the pillow.
right, but that's not the start of the war. That's like the escalation. That's like singing the Lusitania, right? things can still work out, right? And it was an accident, right? The first act of war is the Blanketsburg, because there's like the video of like, oh, I'm smoking this guy and go fish.
Oh yeah.
Blanketsburg people run in, so
You're right.
it's bad form,
Yeah.
right? So I will say that.
So are we saying that Starburns throwing the pillow is the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand?
That is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm saying? Yes.
It's like an escalation point.
It's like an escalation because once you declare war, right, the first person to attack, like that's the first act of war,
Yeah.
right?
War hadn't been declared at that point yet. It was just like
Right.
skirmishes.
So yeah, Starburns throwing the pillow is the Lend-Lease act, and the Blanket Town people running in is Pearl Harbor. So
This is like a weird aside, but I think it was like on the Pillowtown side, there was just a quick like blip scene of like, life in Pillowtown. And it was like one guy cooking a thing with like three girls around him. I was
Right.
like, that is so college. Like one, like probably a
unimpressive
7
guy.
or 8, like on a cuteness scale for a guy. And then like about like 3 6s, like hanging out and like 2 6s and a 7 or something like that,
Right.
hanging out. I'm like,
And there's like
that is the
Or like, well, I mean, who can forget Starburns' like massage circle? He has like a bunch of little
Yeah.
females.
it's just, I was like, that is college to a T. Like,
which, but I don't think I ever experienced that in college. Like you're right. Like I witnessed that, but like it was never. I don't know. It was never like, in a campus ministry where it's like,
yeah, you don't
Yeah.
get that vibe. And yeah.
well,
in
actually,
our
no, take that back.
experience.
Once you guys left, it became that. But whenever, pure unadulterated college ministry.
I love that. Goodness.
Did you even get to say your A plus?
I haven't said any yet, but
I
I'm going to see
didn't mean
where
to, like-
this is a good conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, just to finish up the which side would you be on? I'd be on the blanket side because I would be a blanket fort person more than a pillow fort. I don't know. I feel like how do you make a pillow fort?
So it's not
Mhm.
even ideology for you. It's
No, it's more just
straight
like
up.
which side would I be
Yeah,
on
what
already?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't understand how you make a pillow fort without blankets.
that's fair.
You know,
Yeah,
Tough.
I think they're using the couch cushions, which is why Abed was like, I don't care about how long it is. I want it to be cozy and comfortable and like,
yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I guess I'm just
But no, I get what you're saying.
I'm picturing
Yeah.
like that's a lot of couch cushions. You can make
Yeah.
blankets cover a lot more space.
right.
So me logically, I think a blanket fort would
Yeah.
just be more fun, easier to build maybe.
That makes sense.
But the pillows would also be like more you could defend yourself better, I guess.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'd be on Blanketsburg side just
Okay.
because I'm a blanket fort guy more.
You're dead to me, but no, I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
It's a civil war. It divides brothers.
Brothers against brothers, even down the county line.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good lines and moments from this episode
Yeah.
that we haven't talked about yet. Neil being like the Tokyo Rose of like, this is
Right.
real Neil with the pipes of steel,
Yeah.
sending off with the smooth sounds of daybreak. Which has been like the third reference we've had this season.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a lot of daybreak this season.
I don't know what it is with that song, but Dan Harmon just must think it's hilarious or something. I don't know.
I think that was the only song we got the rights to.
Yeah. It's probably like a stock
Mhm.
song. I mean, we've mentioned Keith David's narration and like he has a lot of good lines and jokes, but
Gee, that's a good one.
yeah, him like making fun of Britta and like her whole like trying to be a photographer where she gets really bad photos is funny to me. And I think my favorite line from that is, unfortunately for Britta and millions of other photographers like her, just because something is in black and white doesn't mean it's good.
The one when she just smashed the soda
can.
and then that was great.
Does this remind you of what it reminds me of, Ethan?
I don't know. Probably not the same thing.
Oh, 4-H photography.
Oh, no, that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of yearbook.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
But that's not really photography so much as like design and
Photos.
layout. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always die at Pierce's like pillow armor.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just like,
I'm gonna get you, you little bastard.
yeah. I mean, it's honestly terrifying to see him come running in, but it's also
Right.
kind of awesome that Pierce
Yeah.
is like the one that came up with it.
But it makes me mad every time because it's not super effective. Like other than that one, like him,
Sneak attack on.
sneak attack.
Yeah.
Then you only see him one other time, and he's getting like surrounded by all
Mhm.
the kids, right?
Yeah.
Well-
I don't really understand. I mean, it's protective,
Right.
right? But he has pillows, like he just has pillows built in,
Mhm.
but he still gets knocked down. Yeah. I mean, like, what's
Right.
the point, I guess?
Well, it's also like it's like strategically. Why don't you put like a young student like Pavel in there rather than like an old man like Pierce? Like
Yeah.
Pierce
But the
probably
washed
has
up
to pee
heir to a
already.
moist
Like,
towelette company who would turn out to be the dried up heir to a
yeah.
moist towelette company.
I'm guessing that it's probably like Pierce's pride of him coming with the idea. He
Yeah.
wants to be the one in it. You
Mhm.
know, I'm a living god.
It's actually a commentary on the futility of war.
But yeah, I think they kind of joke about that. And Shirley even says that, like, you know, what are, you know, the first battle, there weren't any rules. Like, you hit somebody and they fall down, you stop hitting them. If they get back up, you hit them until they don't get back up, right?
Mhm.
Like, whenever you think about it for too long, like, it doesn't really quite hold up.
Yeah.
But you're like, but I don't want to think about it for too long because it's just fun to watch.
Is it whenever Pierce comes to Abed with his idea for the weapon
Uh-huh.
or for his like armor? Did they make like a atomic bomb joke kind of where he was like, "Oh, I hope we don't have to use this"?
Yeah.
It's like, is that what they were referencing? I was like, that's
Probably.
kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't
Like
say
his,
it, but
his doomsday
I-
weapon.
yeah, it's like I hope to God we never have to use this or something like that.
Did you guys also notice that in the photo of Pierce that they use for like the whole like voice talent joke, the book that he's reading is How to Make Your Wars Worldlier?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's so funny. I don't know if that's a reference to, like, you know, how to bring as many people into as possible,
Yeah.
or like just how to make it more like use more things. But
It's fitting for Pierce.
it's fitting for Pierce, very
For
very
sure.
much so.
I also loved like, and again, like during this episode, I was thinking about it a lot. Like, man, honestly, a real pillow shot in the face hurts. Like, they can knock somebody out.
Some of these were couch cushions, some of them, and
Yeah.
those are solid.
And
Yeah.
like
I mean-
with the Chang army, like
The Shane Glorious
12-year-olds
bastards.
are ruthless. Yeah, like, they will keep hitting you till
Right.
like. So like they don't know when to stop. They don't have that sense of like empathy yet. Like,
Right?
so it's just
Like being 12 is the entire premise of taking it too far, right?
yeah.
Like some people in high school, they just don't outgrow that, but like
Yeah.
12-year-olds, like they just take it too far in general, right?
Agreed.
This is my shameless plug. That's like my third one for Scott Kramer. If you've never seen a Scott Kramer video, he did one on like which pillow is the best pillow,
Mm.
and he had one of his criteria was like how well could you use it in a pillow fight, and he gets like a bunch of different, like he gets like, you know, Amazon Basics, like the ones that you get at a hotel, versus like a Serta pillow, which is just basically like styrofoam,
Mhm.
and like, oh, I'd use this one to just knock the crap out of them. But again, my shameless plug. I like Scott Kramer, and I want Scott Kramer to know who I am. And Scott Kramer, please listen to our podcast.
Where we at?
Is there a diorama question for this episode?
I mean, I think kind of my question was like, what side would you choose? But if you were in the pillow fight, what would be your strategy? Like, Shirley is just sort of like your barbarian and D&D, like just going and swinging. Pierce is the juggernaut. You know, he's got the pillows, and Chang is like the necromancer, where he's just casting at a bunch of custom, you know, little kids. What would be your strategy? What would you do? What would be your plan? How would you help your side win? And this is where you have to pick a side, right? You can't be like a bystander.
So I have two thoughts. If it's like any of the other like big community wars where like people aren't leaving or going home, then I'd kill the lights on like the I guess-
Campus.
yeah, Blanketsburg,
Mhm.
like side of it, and then like use that to like tear down their fences or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which they do have flashlights, but still, I think that could be a nice little.
Maybe like a horror movie scene, right? You're like, where is he? Where'd he go? Somebody
Yeah.
find him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Where are you? Here. Or what I would do if people are leaving at the end of the night, I would just like tell my Peloton people, hey, stay. then we'll lock out the Blanketsburg people when they leave.
Yeah.
And then do that. Or what I might do, reference to the show, is try to find that librarian person that would like actually take out Troyan on a date, the red-haired librarian.
The hot librarian.
Yeah. And like try to convince her some way to like be on Pillowtown side,
Mhm.
seduce Troy and the war.
Man, you're diabolical.
Yeah.
Man.
Thought about going into espionage?
Always. Every
Always.
day pretty much. I tell my wife, like, honestly, I just want to be a spy. Like get
Hey, there
Plane
is a FBI station in Kansas City, so
might be
I'm
worth
putting a
it.
good word for you.
Yeah.
They were at that college fair I was at on Friday.
Oh,
they,
neat.
they were like, "You want a job?" You look a little, wait, they were like, "How old are you? You could be an agent." And I was like, "Oh, I'm 22."
An agent?
Agent.
Yeah. Can I be a super spy?
I'd have to kill you though, so
Yeah.
earlier you said something about like pillow pets, and you were joking about that.
Yeah.
But I've actually been thinking about that. Like, why didn't they use like stuffed animals? Like, what I could see that being like a joke of like somebody like just grabbing like a bunch of stuffed animals.
I mean, Annie, that's kind of like one of her personality traits is that she has those.
Yeah, I could see
Mhm.
that being not that I would use stuffed animals, but
Yeah.
maybe for my strategy just to be different and not just go in swinging.
Right.
I feel like that'd be a funny like because when I play Call of Duty, I'm a camper. Like I snipe, but I'm really just a camper because I'm
Right.
bad at the game. So I could see that being my strategy is like try to grab like smaller pillows or like stuffed animals and just
Mhm.
chuck them at people from like long distance.
Nice.
You can make a joke of like he hit himself away in like the early childhood development center where there was just a plethora of stuffed animals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People would come in.
Or like those there's like small pillows that are like neck
Travel
pillows,
pillows,
like
yeah.
the ones you have like on a plane. Like something smaller that you
right?
can still
You
throw.
could strangle somebody with it almost. Oh, maybe
I mean,
not.
yeah, you could, but that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking throwing them at people, but that works too.
Speaking of Annie, I just love how they're like, and
Her and Jeff, like
Yeah.
your text back and forth.
that was great, but also just like her taking care of like small abrasions and like what do they say, Gray's
Lightly
testicles.
lightly
Yeah.
grazed testicles.
Yeah.
And the IV drips are just Gatorade.
Yeah.
And to clean people up.
What do they call it? The angel of the battlefield or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that the- and she's like during the final battle, she's like out there, like on the.
Is she?
Yeah, I
Oh.
think
Yeah, because she's attending to a
she's like
guy.
attending
Oh,
to somebody
yeah,
on
she's
the
like a field
battlefield.
The
So
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Right. Just get him to get one more.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, help him get one more. Did you watch that movie?
I want to so bad. I
I
haven't
have
yet.
it. You want to? We can just do it right now. Take a break from the pot. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll be right back.
You're right.
No, please.
Hey, and welcome
this is a
back.
Hacksaw Ridge podcast now.
That's all right. You know, when Vince Vaughn uses that Japanese soldier's body as a shield, actually, I think he does that in the movie. I think my strategy would be like you wouldn't see me for like 3/4 of the episode because they'd be like, "Christian, where are you going?" I'll be like, "I'll be right back. I'll tell you later." And then like in the final moments, like Abed's maybe his whole like platoon of Pillowtown people have been knocked out, so he's like running from Troy, and he's like running out of the library, and I'm like, Abed, duck, and I'd have like an artillery barrage of pillows. It'd just be me like throwing pillows down off the top of the library, and it'd be this very dramatic like slow motion shot, and all the people are like, no, and then it would cut to like normal speed, and they're just like lightly getting hit by
Yeah.
pillows, right? Stop it!
Stop.
Stop!
I can't see.
It'd be like that security guard in Austin Powers where he's like, no, and then like cuts away and he's slowly
Yeah.
driving at him. I think that would be pretty funny.
That's good.
All in all, at the end of the day, the long and short of it is the whole 9 yards. It'd be pretty funny. You can quote me on that.
Believe in the class, I just had Jeff, just because
We all had Jeff, right?
We all
Yeah.
had On the count of 3,
But yeah, he just made me laugh the most. So I was like, yeah, go for it.
I said Jeff because I mean he has some good lines. Honestly, I picked to know because of the wholesomeness of him helping Troy and Abed get back together at the end.
Mhm.
Because you kind of, I mean, obviously I've seen the show before. I know
Right,
that they stay
yeah.
friends, but if you're watching this, you're like, man, like, are they going to be friends? Yeah, like they
Mhm.
both said some really hurtful stuff.
Yeah.
And this, as the season's gone on, there have been a couple of those moments.
Yeah.
Like with the impersonator episode
Mhm.
that we talked about, like you start to realize that there are some cracks, and like the whole theme is Troy is, am I going to join the ACU repair school?
Yeah.
Am I still
Mhm.
friends?
Yeah. So Jeff kind of being there to like help prepare that. I mean, it's huge, and he doesn't just like, he messes up at the beginning when he does the hats, and he doesn't really work because it just makes things get worse. But he kind of redeems himself at the end, and winger speeches at home, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's really wholesome when he goes to get the hats, and Annie's like, oh, he even like stood outside long enough, and then he's like, I actually went back to the office and found
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Jeff, like he's starting to like take himself less seriously, I guess. You know, he loves Troy and Abed, I think. So
Yeah. The fact that he like it even shows the video footage of like
Yeah.
the Dean's office. He's like, "Oh, Troy's was over here, it's a little crumpled up, and
Yeah.
Abed's were just a little bit dusty." But he has a good point. You know, once the Dean disperses the battle because the Guinness World Record guy's not coming due to the biggest misunderstanding in the world. Like, you know, Troy and Abed are still hitting each other, and they said for hours. And Jeff points out that like you guys still care about each other so much that like you're willing to hit each other with pillows. That way you don't stop hitting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wholesome. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, Jeff leaves the class.
Jeff wins it.
in that,
Everybody's honestly though pretty good in this episode, I'd say.
right? What do you
Britta
think?
probably does the least, but she's still funny with
Who?
a few scenes. Britta,
Oh,
just
Britta.
because she's taking the pictures, you know.
Mhm.
I think it's fitting for her character.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Shirley is like a badass, honestly, out there. Like,
Right.
Mhm.
Because she's the Christian stay-at-home mom who has the dark side.
Yeah.
Right.
I like to think it's because she is a mom though, and she like has
Oh,
experience
she's
with
just good
pillow
at
fights.
kicking
Maybe
asses, wiping them.
that's true, but I'm just thinking like she has the most experience with pillows, probably
Oh,
because
yeah.
maybe her
Fair.
sons are.
But
Mhm.
that's a some.
What is it? She's like, Andre, I'm going to be home late tonight.
Yeah.
Troy and Abed are fighting. Please
Yeah.
record. What she's like,
Forensic files.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
please DVR forensic files.
Yeah, it's like she was like, I bet say something. Now Troy's mad.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta protect him so that way Britta doesn't get him on the weed.
yeah.
Text message, surely, but
So okay, for me, this I did like this episode. So it's not like I didn't like it. I just think it's the worst of like the all campus anthology episodes of like the what's it
Like
called?
floors lava,
Yeah,
paintball.
floors lava, paintballs. This paintball 3.
I'll let you Google it.
Like the Halloween one. I think it's the worst of like the big all campus.
I mean, you're wrong, but that's fine.
Clearly, I can't trust you anymore.
No,
but that's my opinion.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you not like it because
Infinity
it's?
Stones right now?
Are you what?
I had Infinity Stones right now. Jonathan would not be.
Is it because it's the like documentary style and you're just not a fan of, or
I think it is, but like because we said this about a few episodes ago with the Glee one. Like I do appreciate the
medium.
like the medium and like its commitment to the medium.
Mhm.
So like I do appreciate how like it did feel like a community documentary on Pillows and
You're
Blankets.
just not a documentary guy.
I think I'm just not.
I think.
much of a-
I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
valid because I personally, I'm not a huge documentary fan. Like you like them. I don't
Yeah.
mind them, but like I know that's kind of like a complaint with the GI Jeff episodes
Mm.
and like is it season 6 or season 5?
It's the last
A
episode.
lot of people don't like that one because they didn't grow up watching GI Joe. We
Mhm.
did. We were huge GI Joe fans growing
Right.
up, and so I appreciate that because I get the reference kind of.
Mhm.
And say like the Glee one, I think you enjoyed it more than we did because I've never watched Glee. I don't get everything about, I don't understand exactly how funny it is that they're making fun of it.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes that's valid. I mean, I think the episode, you can enjoy the episode, but you may not enjoy it as much because you're not a documentary person. And so there's something for everybody in the show because they're different mediums, but not every episode. Some people probably don't like mafia movies
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they've never seen them, so they don't get the mafia episode with the chicken fingers. It's just
Mhm.
they don't understand some of the references or just like how it's framed,
Mhm.
how it's filmed, and the cinematography and stuff.
At the end of the day, I'm just better than you. I'm faster. I'm smarter. I'm better.
I'm better.
I'm better. I am better
It was perfect.
in every down to my most minute detail.
No, that's fair. I mean, that's a fair argument. And I guess I didn't think about that. Like, not everybody likes documentaries. And like,
So-
even if you, not even like you, oh, I hate documentaries. They suck. That's why I hate it. You're not like, that's not your thing. So,
Precisely.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, I like I said, I'm not like a huge documentary fan, but I've seen enough. I actually haven't seen Civil War, the Ken Burns one. I don't think, but I've seen like the baseball one. I've seen the World War II one. I've seen he's had other ones I've seen too. And so like I at least can appreciate like, okay, I know this is like a trope in documentaries. Like, he's a good, Ken Burns is the GOAT, but
Right.
it's still like it's funny that they can make fun of it, or kind of riff on it. I mean, I enjoy this episode. 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's awesome. I kind of wish they actually like could do more with the pillow fight.
Like
War.
just have a whole like 2-minute unedited shot of them beating the crap out.
No, I mean, like I wish they could do like. So here's my thought. There's so much like different mediums with war they could do like to reference
right, like
this, like a
Saving
MASH
Private
episode,
Ryan.
like a MASH type
Yeah.
episode.
Or like a Black Hawk Down, where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like
Mhm.
Yeah. Or like, yeah.
yeah.
They could do. I mean, and obviously, the paintball episodes they do a lot,
right.
and that so maybe there's kind of the risk of like getting tired of it. But I think it'd be cool if they, since they had a filmmaking crew technically there, I guess,
Right.
if they could like each season go back to this and like have like a different style to show the war and like maybe something different. Maybe maybe they don't show the whole war in this episode. They just show part of it. And then like in season 4, we get like a MASH style look at a moment from this war.
And it could be like a
Just like a one-off episode.
yeah,
but
exactly.
Just, yeah. I don't know. I think that would be fun.
Annie in the hospital and she's Hawkeye.
Yeah, honestly, that's what made me think of it. Was like Annie, which I know they have like the MASH references in the
Right,
earlier
but it's
season.
not an episode of MASH in Community.
Yeah.
It's like him playing.
This would be fun though to have. I think kind of a. I mean, you have the characters, you have crazy people. Jeff could be. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, they figure it out. But besides MASH, I couldn't think of anything else like a Black Hawk Down or a. Oh my gosh, what's the no, not Apocalypse Now. What's the war one?
It's Apocalypse Now.
No, not that one.
Platoon.
No,
Saving Private Ryan.
with Harley Ermy.
There's a lot of them. Full Metal Jacket.
Yes, Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like something like that, kind of like a little more like dark. And it would be kind of, I don't know. There's just war is a pretty common
Trope, and I mean
theme in like movies and
Yeah,
TV. So like
right.
there's a lot they could do with it to riff on other popular things. But
Yeah, I've heard this thing because again, like I'm sort of a connoisseur of war movies, but like every war movie is an anti-war movie, and I'm like, honestly, there's a good case in this episode. You like the same criteria that you use for like a Full Metal Jacket or an Apocalypse Now, like you could probably apply that to this episode
Yeah.
too. So yeah, for that reason and for a lot of other reasons, I'm going to give this a Ken Burns out of Ken Burns. Like this is one of my
Perfect to
favorite
you?
episodes. If I was showing people Community, I would show them Paintball. I'd show them this episode, for sure. So.